We always do. Like whenever we do our podcasts or anything like that, we always do kind of like 10 things or 10 questions with, or, just some quick rapid fire. Doesn't have to get overcomplicated. Yeah. So we figured we'd kind of do that with you as well and kind of just see 10 things that Fuzz is grateful for. Just to get to know you better. No pressure, Fuzz.
No.
So you might have already touched on this a little bit, but how are you most grateful for music in your life?
I'm just grateful because it's not an easy thing to do. Like it's a hard, just having the opportunity to play music and make a living at it. I feel just lucky enough just with that.
Yeah.
Because most people try to do it and it's hard to get it, going, for whatever reason. Yeah. You have bad luck, or you met the wrong people, or you didn't make the right choices. So just having that opportunity is great. But also just the fact that like people get some enjoyment out of it. Like I feel I feel like I get to provide something that's like an actual service. That's not just like, crunching numbers or something like that. Like it's like, it feels like something that has value. And that if I can provide that, then I'm grateful to have that opportunity.
That's so cool. Love it. I love it because you build real connections with people.
Yeah.
Do you have a musical influence that you're most thankful for that might come as a surprise to your fans?
Well, and I mentioned, for Caravan of Thieves, Django Reinhardt, because that was something that sort of came out of left field for me, especially being into funk music. When I discovered it, I was like, what is this amazing music? And I didn't, for a long time, I didn't have any outlet for it until the idea for Caravan of Thieves came along. But so that was an interesting thing. But lately, one of the things I've really been into lately is this kind of like ambient electronic music.
Really?
And I think just because I tend to like things that are a little kind of like spacey and psychedelic and being such a I love Pink Floyd and that kind of music. And so I've been listening to some really sort of ambient electronic music that is kind of cool. That some of it's dancey, I like the group Odessa, and so they, some of their stuff is kind of just, dancey, but other stuff is kind of real sort of ethereal, and, so I just like that. So I try to incorporate that into what I do. Cause I'm playing guitar and I think my forte is being funky and rhythmic, but sometimes I like to go into the whole soundscape mode and be like, what can I do to really kind of space out and create these textures and soundscapes like that. So that's been showing up a little more in my playing lately.
That was
because
really
I'm into
cool.
These trancey grooves with these spacey, ambient layers to that. I'm like, how can I do that? We get into funk grooves and I'm like, I'm gonna make it spacey.
Let's see. Thinking of the best live shows that you've seen, what about them made them your favorites? Is it more about for you when you go attend a show? Is it like the sound, the lights, the crowd?
Yeah.
What makes a really great performance for you?
Yeah, it is that. It is the whole production for sure. Yeah. Not to say, I've gone to I remember going to see Jimmy Smith in a small jazz club in New York City back in the late 90s or something like that. And it was just amazing to see this jazz legend in that little club there where I was it was right there. I could have thrown my, my coaster on top of his keyboard. It was right there, and I'm watching him play and I'm like, this is unbelievable. So that intimacy and no production event is amazing to me. But, and I was just talking about Odessa, I went to go see them last summer. Where was it? I feel like it was up near the venue I call it Great Woods, but I guess it's whatever it is now. The venue that's outside of Boston, Mansfield Center, maybe. Anyway, it was a cool outdoor event thing like that, and it was kind of I did really like the crowd.
Yeah.
And my friend Bob Kennedy, who's involved in the Forest Hill Stadium, they had played there earlier in the summer, and he's like, do you know these guys? And I'm like, yeah, I listened to them. He's like, it was one of the most mind-blowing shows I've ever had. We've had here since I started. And because it was there was a lot going on. It's two guys, but it's way more than that. They had a drum troupe, and they had musicians. They had some live. It was live music. There wasn't just DJ thing.
Yeah.
They had dancers. The lights were insane. The crowd was wow. And so it was a really so that's about as opposite as I can think of from Jimmy Smith. It's I don't, it's this entirely huge production, show, I was like, I don't. He said something like they had 20 semis to bring the whole light and production. Like, so it was a very big like visual production, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And because their music is so like kind of spacey and ambient and that kind of thing, like it just really lended to the whole experience, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, somewhere in the middle was, you know, and this was one of my first like concerts that I was like, oh my god, was I went to go see Pink Floyd like the summer after I graduated high school. And I remember like just standing there in Giant Stadium, like it was, you know, it was kind of like the post Roger Waters, but like still it was like it was just hearing them play all those songs like Us and Them. You're and just like I was just like
what is happening?
Oh my god. Like, and so that was, I really, but again, that's a production too. So it was like music, but like, you know, they're crashing pigs on stage and they're, you know, they're like all kinds of stuff. But like, it was amazing. Like I like that. I do like that in a show. I do like when there's a whole production involved in it.
Yeah.
So
and what's like your favorite seat in the house? I guess it also, like you said, some are like really nice, intimate venues. Right. Others are a lot larger, but like, do you like being like front row center, or you kind of like being in the back and just kind of like taking it all in?
Well, yeah, if it's going to be a more like a bigger production show, I'd rather be further away.
Yeah.
You know, because like then I could actually see it, you know, like if you're up in the front, you don't really get to experience that. If it's something a little more intimate, and I just remembered another one that was amazing. Like I went to go see, it was down at New Orleans Jazz Festival, and Betty Carter was still alive. And I don't know how I got the front row center seat. Like maybe just because we got in there early. I don't remember. But I remember like plopped right in front of her, like, and she's like right in front of me singing. And all of a sudden I had this like epiphany of like, you know, like just how, I mean, I was a fan anyway. Like I love her singing, but the way just to watch her do it and her like emoting like every syllable, like all the faces she was making when she was singing, and I was just like, she's feeling every sound that's coming out of her mouth, and just watching her, you know, I don't, you know, I mean, you could say she was acting it out, but like she was so deeply, you know, feeling every moment of that, like, because she scats a lot, and it was just amazing to watch that. And I would, you know, if I was anywhere else, I don't know if I would appreciate it as much. But I was like right in front of her, like, and I was glued to her face, like,
exactly. I agree.
I was like, oh my god, she's, you know, it's like, you know, so it's, you know, obviously jazz legend, but also just seeing that, you know, up front, you know, it was amazing.
What motivates you to keep wanting to perform and make music?
I think at the end of the day, like it's just the same thing we were talking about before, like the fact that like I feel like it's actually like helping people out, you know, like, and I see the reactions, like, and like I said, the people have come up after the show and been like, I've had a bad week or something, or, you know, life has been a little challenging lately, but when I come to see your show, I feel like all the weight is lifted, and it's, you know, like, and, you know, when I was going to college, I was kind of on the fence of being I was like psychology, music. I wound up doing the music, but like for a while I was doing psychology, and that was something I thought I would be good at, like being able to sit with somebody and get them to kind of work through their problems. I'm like, well, this is sort of like the best of both worlds. Like I kind of like, I don't have to sit in the room with them, and, you know, I could just throw the music out there, and hopefully that is enough of a therapy session to be like, you know, my all my troubles are gone. I just, you know, like I just not that simple, but like, it's sort of like, to me, like kind of captured the best of both worlds in that way. Like it's just that it's actually like providing a service for people that's helping them with their lives, especially if life is tough, which it can be.
It can be. So does that also like inspire, because, you know, you're a songwriter, like does that also inspire how you approach writing music?
Yeah. I try to write hooks, and you know, my musical ideas and lyrical ideas are things that I try to think of, like that people can kind of pick up on instantly, like little phrases that they can, you know, get you all in the mood, like stuff like that. Like, you know, like it's like, you know, like that's like things that I think that would, you know, people can catch on to very easily, sing along to, and then, you know, and then like, you know, and that's, I think, part of the way it helps, you know, like the mood and the thought process, like, you know, like it's, you know, I mean, some things are, especially with Caravan of Thieves, a little more dark and weird, but like, but see, and that's what that's all about too, because it's not just about like being spooky and freaky. Like it's about like, there's this thing, that we all kind of like have to deal with, like death, like,
Yeah.
and like, but let's make fun of it, like, or let's make light of it, or let's look at the positives. Like our one of our landmark, or whatever you want to say, like one of our signature songs in Caravan of Thieves is Raise the Dead. And we always, at the end of the night, we come off the stage and we unplug everything, and we get in the crowd and we just play it totally acoustic, unplugged, and we get everybody to stomp and clap and sing along with us and go, let's all raise the dead. And like, and what it really is a celebration of life song. And so it kind of points out all the, a little bit about history. Some people like Mozart and Joan of Arc. I forget some of the lyrics, but like this, we point to like, we're remembering these people, and even though they've been gone for like hundreds of years, like we're still thinking about them, and that kind of keeps them alive. And so it sort of spins death in that way of like, like it's a positive thing. And so it's so that's, I think ultimately that's always the goal, is to try to make it something that's, thought-provoking, but also like uplifting in the same way.
I love that approach. I love that about you. What was the first album that you ever purchased? Or cassette? Should I say cassette? Should I say album? Record?
The first was a record. Like the first. So I mean, I've got to think back, because they were my parents' records, which I used to listen to all the time, like the Supremes' Greatest Hits and the Goldfinger soundtrack. Those were like my records. Like, but the first one I remember going to the store to buy was Black Sabbath, Sabotage.
Was it really?
Yeah. And it's because like, and it was me and my sister. We went to the store with my mother. We were like department store, and we'll go in and she was like, if you want to buy a record, go to the record. And she was like, oh boy, we're gonna. And at that time, like I had some cousins who are older. So we were probably like 7, 8, that age. Somewhere in there. But they were like maybe like teenagers, and they were like, Black Sabbath is the best. You got to check out Black Sabbath. They were like, huh, what the Black Sabbath? Like, well, I remember like seeing the record. I was like, Black Sabbath. I look at the cover, and it was
so badass.
It was a little bit like, I'm like, this is the one. And I still like that record is still for me like we played the heck out of that record over and over and over again. Like and so I know it like the back of my hand. But it's like a time travel thing when I hear that music. Because I'm still like a kid at 7 years old being like, Black Sabbath, oh my god, like look like watching it spin around, like and yeah. So that was the first one I could remember buying.
Yeah.
That's
wild. Mine was a cassette tape. It was Poison. Open up and say ah. I was like, what were you thinking? That's a definitive moment in my childhood.
Yeah. There was that when I got into purchasing cassettes, because I went on a cassette kick for a while, because I used to deliver papers, and I would carry. I had this little boom box.
Oh my gosh, I love
with the cassettes, and and so my cassettes that I had all the time, and that was AC/DC, Back in Black.
Yes.
The Police, Zenyatta Mendata, and I think Foreigner 4.
Love it. Rocking out while delivering my newspaper.
Yeah. I was like that kid. I'm
awesome. I love it. We used to say that our son, when he was young, had like AC/DC rolling in his head all day long. Like it was the soundtrack of his life.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That was totally my soundtrack.
Yeah.
I think it's what got me playing guitar. Like it's like I was, listening to that over and over and over again. The cassette had no writing on it anymore. It was completely just blank. Like you couldn't even read the letters on it. But like but Angus Young was like, to hear that guitar, like he's like such an amazing guitar player. Like I think that was one of the things that motivated me to be like, guitar is awesome. I want to play guitar.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So before you go on stage, how do you kind of center yourself? Do you have little rituals or little things that you do to kind of be like, I'm ready now?
Yeah, it's funny because people always say, do you get nervous? And and I'm like, well, there is such a thing as a nervous energy. Like it's like and I think nervous is good, or like it's like not that I want to be nervous and I can't think straight, but it's like there's a way to turn that nervousness into like an excitement. I believe it's a fine line. I agree. You just sort of. So I mean, I think one of the and it's so funny, and I feel like this happens with all the bands that I've been in. Like when you're about to go on, everybody's got that little nervous energy, and we all sort of there's always some sort of powwow, even if it's just like us standing at the entrance to the stage, just kind of getting excited, and we just start saying really silly stuff and goofing around and just being silly, and it's like how you kind of get that excitement, drummed up a little bit, and also just kind of get the nervousness out, like just by being silly. And so it's usually just that, like just saying silly stuff, doing silly stuff, acting like a goofball.
Which one of your songs would you most want to be remembered by? Oh boy, that's a big one. I don't know. We got deep here at IAFM.
I mean, maybe, since we talked about it, and it's just, I don't know, that's a hard one.
It's a hard one to answer.
Yeah, but I think Raise the Dead is probably one that I feel like I've had the most moving experiences playing that song, and because I've done it in a lot of different ways. So I mean, we played it many nights after the show, and it's always like a fun, uplifting moment. But we've also been actually asked to do some celebration of life events, and I remember one time we were out in Iowa, and it was this biker gang, and we wound up and somebody passed away. I think it was maybe an accident on a bike or whatever. Yeah. So they were doing a big celebration of life for this person. I don't even remember if it was a man or a woman, but it's probably 10 years ago. But I remember being surrounded by all these people and playing that song, and just seeing all the emotions. Some people were crying. It was hard. I was almost oh, I gotta not hold it together. Don't get upset while you're playing. But there were other people who were smiling, and you could just see the range of emotions, and just the fact that it provoked that much emotion to be poured out and all in one shot. And it was I felt like these folks probably will remember that for the rest of their lives, and I know I will. And it's so. I mean that. I'm picking that just because of the level of emotional impact that it's had on, and that's happened more than once. And so, I mean, not to say that, everybody jumping up and down during, gonna put the boot down is not amazing, and watching everybody that's a different kind of emotion. But I guess I'm being a little more serious that this was a moving, a little deeper moving experience with that. But yeah, there's, I could start rattling off Deep Banana Blackout songs where people are looking like they're, losing their minds literally, and that's also fun too.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Absolutely. No, I like that answer. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Two more. If you could put something wacky on your rider, like no green M&Ms in the green room, and will always be fulfilled, what would it be?
You mean something that I normally do, or just if a thing that
maybe you haven't done yet? I don't know, or you haven't, or maybe that you always do. I don't know. Is there something that you need when you're in a green room? You're yeah.
I mean, maybe. I mean, what I always get is what I'm always looking for is gin and all the stuff to make the cocktails, and so maybe if I was gonna maybe if I was gonna go really crazy with this, because I try not to be too high maintenance. I'm we'll get a bottle of Hendrix and a club soda, and if you could throw a tonic in there and some limes, we're good.
Super.
But maybe I'll go one step further and be maybe we could get some Saint Germain and and some fresh squeezed lime juice. No, I don't know. Maybe I would go a little more. I also like putting prosecco in that cocktail. Actually.
Oh, look at you!
So
fancy.
Maybe I'll be all right. I'll be all right. So a bottle of Hendrix, a bottle of prosecco, a bottle of Saint Germain, club soda, and lemons.
Look at that! It just all came out pouring. Look at this! I know.
Noted. So during COVID, one of the places I was playing at a lot was Milestone up in Reading, and because it was me on the deck outside with the guitar singing and playing, and they got a little comfortable with me there, and they let me, especially because I was a little high maintenance with the drinks. They were like, you can just go back and make it yourself. And so I was back behind them. That's how it started. I'm well,
that's amazing.
And it caught on so much that they added it to the menu. They call it the Fuzzy Collins.
Oh,
and so
stop.
It's like Hendrix, prosecco, club soda, lemon.
I love it. So if we go there, we're gonna find.
You're gonna find the Fuzzy. Hopefully, it's still on the menu. I haven't been there in a little while, but I made it. I've got a drink in my own name.
Okay, last one. Let's just show some love to the band. What do you love most about your bandmates?
That they're just ridiculous and funny and the most insane people in the world. They were, especially in Deep Banana Blackout, we've had times where we've laughed so hard that I don't think they're it's the most I've laughed at any point, especially when we're on the road, we used to do some such silly stuff, we used to have we used to go to Cracker Barrel a lot, and
we all have our
on the road, I don't know, some good eating on the road. Like, and we used to have the little gift shop, and there was a bird that you could make it repeat back whatever you said to it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so if you spoke into the bird, it would be like, like, like. So I'm not going to say all the things because they're just way too demented and dark. But like, we used to be driving around in this van with the bird, and there's a way to do it. You could be like you hold up the bird, and like, and it would always start with this. It would start with this. I'm not just a cute little bird. I'm Satan's mouthpiece, and like, and then it would go on to spew some really messed up, demented.
Whatever.
And we would try to go one up each other. Like, who's going to be the more demented thing? Who's going to be the more un-PC thing? Like, and it was only us in the van. And then what happened was the guy who was our tour manager, he was driving, and one day we left the rest stop, and we're like, hey, where's the bird? Have you guys seen the bird? We're like. He's like, I left it at the last rest stop. No more bird. Like, it was getting too dark and demented. We're like, all right. No, but that's just, like, I just think back to like our time and like during going to jazz festival in New Orleans and sitting down there and like there was one time we were hanging out with John Fishman and like, and I don't know how he got in on this, like, but we were telling him we wanted to create a skit called a porta potty. It was going to be like a porn made in a porta potty. And we're trying to, and I'm telling him about it, and he's like, I like this idea. And we're like back on the back bar at the Maple Leaf, and we're talking about this, and like, but I was like in tears, like the tears are just rolling down. I couldn't even speak, like laughing so hard. We were a little wasted too, but that was like the kind of stuff like so. I mean, that's what I like about that crew is that like, there's no limit. Right. There's no like, some people are like, I think you went too far. But we ultimately could just take it to the umpteenth level and then just laugh our asses off and like, and so that's that's I think what to me is the my favorite part, other than the music.
But
the social aspect of that, like just the comedy.
They sound like
some
really
of the funniest people in the world.
That sounds like a really good time. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you have to run, but we've loved chatting with you. This has been great to get to know you.
Awesome. Likewise.
Thank you. Recap the shows.
Yeah, recap the shows.
All right. So, FUNKsgiving, Wednesday, night before Thanksgiving, November 27th at the Warehouse at FTC. Woo. And December 21st, Caravan of Thieves at Stage 1. Woo. Let's go to Things Fuzz and his band. Peace out, everybody. Peace out. Thank you. That was so fun. Thank you so much.
I feel like we have like so many.